Okay, fantastic. Okay, welcome everyone. It's such a wonderful Thursday to gather and think about poetry and listen to poetry. For anyone who hasn't been around for a little while, I am Maneo. I'm a poet and a nerd and a feminist, and I am so happy to host today's reading. Um, I I'm going to ask one more time for you just to remind me of the way that you say your name, and then I'll read your bio if I may.
All right. It's pronounced Juhlene. Juhlene.
Juhléne. Juhléne. And your surname, is it Moller?
Yes, it's smaller. It's fine. It's derived from another language, but it's been Afrikaanized, so it's Moller.
Okay. Moller. Okay. Juhléne Möller. Okay, amazing. So the bio that I have here for you, let me just pull that up because it's my favorite part of a reading. And also we're letting more people in, so I'm just going to be a bit of an octopus. Juhléne Möller, um, née Wagner, grew up on farms in Bospoort, small holdings in the Waterberg in the north of South Africa. A young life of tending the family's wilderness farms and herd of cattle, of being deeply immersed in nature, both wild and rural, instilled in her a profound ecological intelligence, sensory, sensual, and social awareness, and a love of poetry. This is something that you share with the people in the room. She now lives a greatly creative life in the Overberg, making art, writing, daily painting, and growing a small forest, and varyingly chasing and inviting the light with her camera lens. This is beautiful. And with that, I'd love to hand over to Juhlene, and I'll just be in the background letting people in. And go ahead, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Maneo. And thank you everybody for being here. Thank you also, I'm saying it on the recording, for everyone who sent messages and who asked for the link to the YouTube later. And yeah, thank you so much. I say there's family in the house, there are friends in the house, there are old friends in the house, and there are so many fellow poets in the house who I know always carry me in their thoughts and best wishes. As they know, I am such a reluctant one. um, Despite the fact that every now and again I dare to step forward and to give air to some of the poems. Um, I will explain that when Jacques and Ed asked me, my plan was to give you 20 short poems of only 8 lines each, because my aim was to see if I could simplify my writing to the barest essence. However, life and I are not in sync yet, it would seem. Or I would just say that I suppose one was just try and be where you are and enjoy where you are and trust that things will unfold. So interesting things are happening because of that. Um, Things are at least starting to happen again, and I'm allowing it to happen. And sometimes I kill them, and sometimes I rework them to pieces. And every now and again, I will try and just let the first draft or two stand. But I'm going to start with an older poem called Soma. It always helps me to ground myself and possibly you too. It's called Soma. Feel at first how your thoughts are now fucking with you, playing hide and seek between C1 and C2, shrieking down your spine, running amok, cowering and cornering. What a nerve they have, getting stuck in hard to reach places, except for the tools of therapists, that is, and at the price of freedom and illusions, slightly used, slightly fused, confused. No, for real this time. feel words leaving. These tongue-tripping tyrants posing as North Stars to our sanity. Feel invited to be here with no obligation, but to join the mossy belly of this phonetic forest floor, of warm sand warming, water falling. Feel the in and out of wishes. Feel jailbirds leaving your mouth. Feel the hardest parts of you freeing their shy and shunned hunger. Feel your lips asking for the brush of a kiss, for a world of kept promises, kept just for you. Next poem is also an older one. It's a favorite where I went wild with playing with words. And I know sometimes in spoken verse lately people frown upon too much alliteration or assonance, but this is a poem that I love, and I love what I did with it. It's called Akanta. That I can see and be seen, singularly, yet rough and tumble labyrinth, curling you up in the weeds of my mirth. That I can touch and be touched, prickly, sweet-talking shongololo, cursing and straining as the sophistry of your fingers fetches me and leaves me, waxing and waning. That I can breathe and be breathed beguilingly, paraphernal pomegranate, prickly pear, pert peach, and sorbet sorcery wafting out of your proprietary reach. That I can hear and be heard. Hark! Iterative, gawking, heretic, squawking. Paripasu, soporific, sibylline moon, cantankering your ears with each soothsaying croon. That I can taste and be tasted. Tortling, rambutan, rose, apple, rain, raw, red earth, Ruth. Tempting Tantalus with my telltale, tongue-twisting truth. Next poem is called Being. I've been looking for mermaids for so long my eyes fail it. To find them a shimmer, posed in pearlescent splendor, draped in glittering distress. These damp damsels waiting for a dance, jolly, deep. Here, where no one longer knows nor remembers the difference, pitching and rolling polysemically between skin and bone, heroine, red herring, selkie, or siren. I've been looking, yet found none. No one draws them remotely right, nor knows their songs by heart, by happy chance or tight contrivance. The exact moment when they are neither fish nor therian, not even the nets of my imagination dare capture or free. Okay, I'm gonna read a new poem. I think many of you may know that sometimes poems comes to us in the strangest places, for the strangest reasons, at the strangest times, and And that is why I can't remember the poet's name, so I hope she forgives me if she's still alive. But it's the one where he speaks about grabbing it by its tail and pulling it back down. So I try and not always let the bird get too far away. Just jot a few things down so that I'm able to piece some kind of a bird together from the feathers that I could save. So this one is called Silverstrand. Some of you may know that it's a holiday destination on the Brede River. And I recently spent some time there and went for a swim in the river. Silverstrand. Ritmies swaai en stuur hy die randsnyer, sy hedendaagse sens geskootsteek aan sy lyf. Die hele harde middag lank vreet die spanne, skuins en kant tot wal, geswind, skunnig. Haks met die hoë humiditeit, die heininge se ewige ryk, die blou lug, die al. Sweet en slukkel hul water lou, sout gewoond en sat aan hinderlike somers. So wat weet ek wat sonder slommer op die breë rivier se rug sleur stromend dryf, van die skraal man se sluit, se durf, se dors, sy skoppensboer se vlyt en ewigheid. Wat weet ek van al hoe roekeloser heen en weer en hoe finaal en flenters oeroud skreeuwend klimmend mensmasjien se toere ook deur die lug en longe kan splyt. En wat weet hy van my? Soms samba snakkend soos ek doel soekend dieper duik. Of ons van mekaar meet snoerend. En of en hoe ons dag na dag wil of kan staande aanhou fnuik. So, back to an older one. It speaks a little bit about my upbringing, and I see I've just received a little heart from a distant cousin, Renier. So I'm going to speak about one that takes me back to the Waterberg where I grew up. It's called Skin and Bone. She barely remembers the hours in the stinging veld, naming flowers, trees, rocks flung far, or safe spots. She barely remembers the voices bust from sports, her winds wintry, fresh, focused. She barely remembers the moment she quitted her tomboyish self, determining a more girlish glib. She barely remembers when she first started falling in love with more than one boy or girl at the same sweet and sobering time. She barely remembers when she started to put one thought after the bittering other. Sover het ek een gedig in Afrikaans gelees. Dankie vir julle lieflike kommentaar. So ek die volgende dig speel 'n bietjie met die situasie van om in Afrikaans en Engels te skryf. So it's a question I have sometimes, and it's particularly of interest to me is that if when I notice my grandchildren who are predominantly speaking English, and because I love languages, I think the way you express yourself in any language is fantastic. I think my father might have wanted to say something different, but he's not here. Okay, so the poem is called Trip of the Tongue, so it speaks about the journey of language in our mouths. Trip of the tongue. And if I were to lose my mother tongue, as one may lose conviction, gradually out-argued or rudely interrupted, all those teething tenses swirled and swallowed with mother's milk and such subtler semantics laced with fate and its fighting fit ilk, or lose a limb or overprune a tree known for carrying its fruit on old growth only, I will have learned, I think, to sound sounder grammar in this wayward mouth. I will have cheeked new meaning, flesh made word. I will have gleaned less guttural utterances following the drinking gourd. I will have tried tongue-tired and uttered tacit ways to speak, oohing, awing, and articulating ouches and aitzas. Um, I have mixed feelings about the next poem, but it is something that someone in a previous reading liked. I do, however, know that it needs some, let's call it orchestration. It needs some, needs to there needs to be a different kind of structure. But I'm going to throw it just because some of the questions are relevant to our time, or maybe ever. It's called A Thousand Questions Deep. How many senses does a river have? Does the ocean live for present or past adventures? Who will plant lavender in Marikana? There we keep observing sad Sabbaths. Should we trick or treat? Do narcissists even know how to begin to kiss? May we ask our answers questions? Are questions answers ever? And how long does it take to forget a knowing touch? Should I, we, they, you shave our loving hairy legs? 2B or 3B for signing something shy? Should I focus on being or being elsewhere? And since we're busy, should we change some rules in Scrabble? If we could sleep with our eyes open, would we? And is there a more playful sound than that of marbles clinking? If I ever go to Amsterdam, will I wear poetry in my hair? Well, what will be willing to be? Is a screenplay as vulnerable as a poem? How many sentences are left? Left incomplete? Will her mouth be as homely as her mind? Does she sing on Tuesdays before she goes for dialysis? Do our hands do their own thinking? Where do our minds go when we lose them? Where do you go to, my not so lovely? Is the Pope still Catholic? Will they meet at the bend in the river? How many fucks not to give? Why wait for our words to dry? Will you swim with me? Will my poems sound any sweeter in Mother Mary's mouth? When people are hoping for a lift by the roadside, in the wind, in the rain, in the scorching sun, where are the prophets and the profiteers? Where are they, I beg you, when a 3-year-old is taken by a Kupperkapelle from her mother's corrugated life and bed? When is a poem no longer a question? Um, yeah, there's a new poem that's up next, but again, I'm so not happy with it. So I'm going to read another new poem. And Jacques, actually, I should not have said. I should have first read the poem, and then you could have guessed whose house am I talking about. And here it comes. It's called Windroos. It's the same as the English windrose. Serves the same function, and I'm just using it as an allegory. Windroos. Haar vriend se woonstel is netjies, gerangskik. Absoluut niks oorbodig nie. Alles net genoeg en van digterlike nut. Hy weet waar en hoekom alles juis daar is en môre weer behoort te wees. Hy kan sy hande hondgerus laat dink waar die muis ontstink en katvoet kennelik sin uit die rye woordrakkers put. Hierdie diagram van sekerheid gee hom monde kans om te dwaal en struikel oor ander klippers. Wêreldvrede is soek. Steeds. Terug tuis skiet pogings op haar eie werf tekort. Sy smag om klaarheid kompulsief te kan skilder, om oorsprong herhalend te hoor kraak. Sy wil dit beblaard kan asemhaal, die geur van 'n fontein kan oorvertel. Sy wil daagliks noot vas sing, skoon klank skink. Sy wil bou aan daai tevrede oorbegin. Ten minste een leë kamer vol koel stilte en strak verlokking. Sy sorteer, stootskeen linskriem, steen des aanstoots, brand geite tot as, wat was. Sy vee die moddervoete van haar gedagtes af, op die skoon blad wat woord haar bied, en skryf tot alles tolbossig begin windroos. Okay. And next one is a poem I came across this afternoon. And I think this is clearly one of those where I was driving and thoughts came into my mind, and so I managed to pull a few words back from the road and the sky. It's called Trip. I drive into a nicotine sky streaked with pencil box blues. It is professed clouds catch fire this time of day. Greens burst and yellows yell as beauty undresses herself. Once more for the road. The ashen faces thumping for a lift somewhere, God knows everywhere, equally unsafe. Know too well the smug and smog of our success and setting promises. I think of you and I, patently etherized. The sky is positively bleating with freshly fleshed out fear. It's clear that I have an issue with transport issues in our country. People left in vulnerable positions by the roadside. So, an older one, it's called Mused. To draw you, light as the present tense, yet still lasting. Your allure outlined and alliterating, every gouached curve becoming, embodying an opening line that leads to ripely rumored poems, paper and ink pastures, picnics possess, and ruses ruined. You once inspired a tangle of memories, faint cries scribbled in the air across the sky, then spared nothing. To clement river banks, bare necessity shared, blushing and basking, benevolently palatable and positioned to please. You had to add bragging rights and printed us in Ponzi blues. Expo is probably about, how old? 25, 26-year-old. And it's such a nice little light poem, so I'm just going to read it quickly. It's called Women Talk. It was more a practice in typography than anything else, but it's called Women Talk. Hushed the breath of night, storm-strewn whispers, unabashed, silk, sky, and self held in fragments, sheer lullabies and temptresses till the morning light. Hello, Susan. I'm slipping in a gentle one for my beloved. It's called Trou. My liefsteling, my liefling vrou, my perskevallei, my klam kontry, my vroue voue, my klein onthoue, my fynbos, my vroetangs, my framboos titties, my fyndraai liedjies. Is net vir jou. Is net vir jou. Another oldie, dating back many moons, and set in the Overberg outside Caledon. It's called sharecropping. I have a thing about sharecroppers. Not counting the cost, my day breaks in your arms. You stir, nuzzling my sheaves. Your calves are gracing my unpasteurized hills. Doilies duly off, milky warm porcelain cupped, and I start swinging bucket to your rhythm through my ruffled, heatherly yield until we overflow beyond the pale. Throwing open your gates, I glean the moans from your mouth, fill my quiver almost to your quick before we start farming lingeringly. Days continue breaking, each laying more land bare. We're fast losing our charms over the will of our wisps. We furrow and crop from fervent memory. Oor gedagte. Die naam is Kus. Speel natuurlik op die dubbelsinnigheid wat Afrikaans soos baie ander tale ons gun. Kus. Jou weerreuk manteldraai deur Pringlebaai. Rus flussies onder die hangse krom. Mag die klippers daar blom en kom al die krekel my aand ook om. Jy hurk, louters, om die punt van my neus, mossig en morsig, te kom nes maak en gees. Maar jou fynbos, jou almoes, al paaiend, al aaiend, te laat kneus. En ek en die kus, ons is kop in een mis. Lam en tam ons lyfse laventel, kwistig en onprotestants, weens die lispeltrand van ons versoenbare heupe, al kluivend aan die verdrentel. Hier's 'n kwaai enetjie uit my jeug, en die naam is Onding. Breek jou spel. Koets, koeterwalse kringe op eens heilige grond. Ontbeer my die vermeerdering van jou brode, En die gelykenisse van jou Messias mooie mond, jou koue front, ontdaan van odes van ons tersluikser kodes, ontgoogel ek onmin en onmag. Skuur ek my soekend, boete doenend, brandsiek hond oor die abakusse, die kletterklippe van jou weggerolde kont. Ek wag, ek betrag, ek ontketen alle goed en kwaad en onraad Pandora boks en gemetafoor in oordaad. En vra die nag om jou geheelbeeld genadiglik nou te begin versag. Teen die môre, in 'n nare droom, swaai die maan nog halstarrig aan 'n boom. Van hane kraai ek, ontologies, hel. Kry ek net fragmente en splinters, stukkies, amper niks meer van jou nie, ingebed onder my vel. Ek weet nie of 'n sekere mense in die audience is vanaand nie, but we spoke about suitable places for airing some of one's grievances. Well, here's a few of them, but it's in the sweet wrapper of a poem called Sutras. The glyphosate sneeze we confess and bless. The ill-educated ruckus breaking and entering. The passing trade, pissing and pussing, the mousebirds scrapping, the weeds going to seed. Woe begone, wars. O great quietude, help us fathom, help us embrace the harvest of foxes and fledglings, the ranking gangsters raving, the exhilaration of defiance, the patriarchs pestering, the otherisms piling, kids cut short. O great quietude, help us fathom, help us embrace the epithets planted, the underpaid, the dogged, seedlings in August, most tender, most sublime. O great quietude, help us fathom, help us embrace. Just wanted to quick check for time. Maneo, can you give me an indication, please? I'm lost on my screen to find the time.
No, you're looking really good. I think that we can go on for another 5 minutes.
Alrighty.
And then I'm thinking, if you're okay with it, we can open for questions.
Sure. Okay. Let me see what else. Okay. I'm going to do a poem called Sojourn, just because I like the metaphor. Sojourn. That it is and appears a little cold and stiff, a house at dusk in winter, thick-walled and storied, sloping south. That it is and remains umbilical yet free, a garden, guessed one spring, deep-dyed, self-seeding, all mouth. That at second glance its wallpaper rains tiny flaky flowers, that stealing deeper over linoleum lengths and past participled portraits, you will be led to kitchened hands resting on the sink, hips adroit, a smile steeping, knowing plastic doilies and a table, its beaten surface waxed for loving. But first, pull up a chair, pat and ponder, finger crumbs do and undo, fatigue expressions, dues, diligences. If you care, feast shyly on your knowing growing. Let's not take our tea too strong, but steep it perfectly slow and pour and sip, not spilling. And if they do, well, well, almost time to sign on the dotted line, or in this case, blotted line. My one sheeny complexion, more recently peeling, splattered with freckles, a mole here and there. I have a mole? My dainty sensibilities drawn. B. Fine print. All movables, all fixtures, all paraphernalia. Look up the meaning of that word if you don't know his, her, it story. The etymologies that I've learned, that I own. C. That I might no longer care really to fastidiously groom any nether or loosely tethered regions. Come on, we both know our way about these subtler causes and softer knowledge that lives and laughs at sixes and sevens in sundry undersunned underbrush. No, yeah. D. The water closet is prone to leaks, but still does its thing. My roof is corrugated and a badly punctuated meditation. My only working fireplace will leave us sooty, but warmed. I am fenced with both the scent of roses and good riddance. Such are the pros and cons of my body. Not for sale, but open to your tenancy upon favorable review of your application. I think I'm going to read a few haikus. Oh, wait. Okay. I just want to break your ears with a specific poem called Eitel Reimpie, and then that will really take care of the time frame. It's called Eitel Reimpie, which is deceptively innocent after the idea of counting rhymes. Eitel Reimpie. Ek dog nog ek vry chickies in die bondel. Toe bikkie vir bikkie en soetsag siekies al jander koljander tjoef tjaf so deur die bos en willie walie, daar val ek af. Ek kry jou lief. Met al jou opgeskote suggesties en gesofistikeerde agterlikheid. My helter skelter affiniteit vir roes, skroewe, doringdraad en skroot. Jou foneties gesoldeerde Saterdagse kindse uitspraak van Juhlene. My skors fiksasies by die droesems van jou voorgevoelige skoot. Die stories uit ons katel, draaibank en bevonkvaai ek, met die vermetele vingers van my intellek, en swys met 4 letterwoorde elke sekulêre poes en drek vas aan ons soort uitverkiesingsleer se skaars geoorloofde plek. En terwyl jy vleniesag sus en spook, en in jou drome land en sand die afgeval en seer gekry en opgeklim en weer gekry, flegmatiese tuinspoor van my klakkepraat probeer antisipeer, en jou hart besweer oor dat jy sekerlik sakke, pakke, sjoesjoe, gis en binnetoe beslis weet. Ek is starararaboom, dery kompleet, 'n sakker vir enige beach. Selfs die geboetseerdes uit op straat. Ek dog nog, ek groei kringe, vernuftige UNESCO-sfere, en knoei sagter, ronder, kaler, jonker, tautologischer verwere. Benjo Tombolas lief, jou transitiewe klitgekibbel, jou suspende tuis onkuis skamel, cameo gewilligheid, soos ons warm getonka, ons foos gemeta tekste ure, deur mekaar assonansies ten spyt in die omgangstale van toentjies, kant, kont, Lexington, laks en bonte klee versluit. Ek dog dat ek mooietjies klief, my lief, maar my stilus bly skamper, word log, tribunaal, stief. Ek skarminkel skattig met jou lanterfanter langbeen wesies, met my silogismies ontredderde hopscotch klinker verspringende indiskresies. Ek kryt jou uit, ek lak jou neer, met elke manies aandagsteernis verdroomde min of meer. Ek's klaar gevry, my klein meebosmonei. Ek wil en moet, ek gaan my ry nou kry. Ek enie, minie, mind nie jou nie. Ek skot lawyna, wyna, wie ook al een of ander tyd wou, of nie wou nie. Ek lek en plak jou toe. Brief. My afgestanse krippenstiepont, hartedief. I think that's it for now, Maneo.
That was absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much. What a beautiful reading. What
Thank
a
you, Maneo.
beautiful reading. Um, Thank you so much for taking us through such a beautiful garden. It felt like a journey, and operating in two languages is also so beautiful. It always feels like such a treat to encounter a bilingual poet. So thank you so much for sharing yourself in both languages.
Thank you.
I wanted to open the floor for questions, and then we can kind of go until for the next 15 minutes. And then we'll have a tiny break and come back for open mic. If nobody has a question for now, I can ask the first one as people kind of gather things. And I also see Jacques has his hand up, and I'll come to you. But I was wondering, because you're a poet that writes in both English and Afrikaans, I was wondering, what language do you dream in?
Oof. So I definitely dream in English and Afrikaans, and my brain works in a way that if I speak another language, like I am fairly well versed in German and French and some Dutch, then 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 things start happening in my dreams as well. It's mostly a visual language, and probably a bit of a gebrabbel, something that are not even the visuals make sense. So, but yeah, it does happen that in my dreams I start speaking in another language.
That's so cool. Thank you so much for answering. Jacques, go ahead. You can ask your question.
Juhlene, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you perfectly.
Oh, good. Okay. I'm going to ask in English. Um, what I love, I mean, I love it when you say, I'm just quickly going to break your ears with a couple of haikus. So that was beautiful because it's such a gentle breakage, it's a seduction. I I'm interested in the mix of high and low, the mix of sort of more difficult, more obscure words, and then and in the next moment in the same line, often the next word would be um would be a word that says it very straight talking word. And I wonder if you want to say something about that. It's like a wonderful vertigo that I feel when I hear your poems, and sometimes you have to listen fast, and it's vertiginous, and it's part of what's wonderful. I wonder, I wonder if that rings any bells, and if you want to say something about it.
Jacques, I'm not sure I understand if what rings, what is it, what are ringing bells?
Oh, so didn't you hear the question?
I'm not sure if I missed part of the question because um, would you mind repeating? Then maybe I
Okay.
get it clearly.
I'll keep it brief, but uh, there's something wonderfully hybrid about your poems, that you use more difficult, more obscure words, and then right next to them there will be very straight talking words, even uh, yeah, risky words. Um, it'll and it creates this wonderful sense of vertigo. It's just a wonderful mix. It's not in one register. I don't know if you want to say something about it. I really like it. It's this wonderful sense of what I call vertigo that I feel listening to it.
Okay. Jacques, it's really nice of you to call it vertigo. I probably think of it as as it's probably a little bit like a machine that has broken parts, and that at times there are dissonant noises coming from it. Um, you know, on the surface, seemingly harmonious and powerful and running smooth, but maybe things are misfiring at times and made of very basic metals, and it could harm people. It could chop off part of your calm mind or an arm if you dare go too close. So I don't know, like I try to say in the poems, I try and be less complex. Um, and I think there are moments when I do it, but I also like, yeah, I suppose it's our job not to be too straightforward. And in my art making process as well, it's subject to interpretation this way or that way. And
Yes.
depending on what you allow to surface for yourself, it could be either mysterious and beautiful and gentle, or it could be poking, it could be
Mm.
biting.
Like Emily Dickinson said, tell the truth, but tell it slant.
Well, so Maneo will be the host with the most, and I will be the broken machine.
I love
gonna
that
get
answer.
gonna get some t-shirts printed soon.
We can start a little biker gang of poets with interesting t-shirts. I'd love that. Thank you so much for your question, Jacques. That was such a great question. Um, do we have any other questions from the audience? I think we have another one. I see that you've raised your hand again, Jacques. Is there anybody else that might want to ask a question before we go back? Then go ahead.
Jock, did you want to ask something else?
Yeah, Jacques, you can go ahead and ask your question.
No, I didn't really. I think that was an old hand.
Just your
Oh,
the old
okay,
hand
fantastic. Okay, let
remaining.
me lower your hand because it looks like you just raised it again. Does anybody have any other question? Gamo, I see that you've raised your hand. Please go ahead and ask.
Hi,
Hello.
Yeah,
Hi.
come on.
I'm new here, but I really, really enjoyed your poetry so much. Very melodic because of all the alliteration. It was like tickling my ears. Um, I wanted to know, where I could find some of your work because you've actually like reinvigorated this love of poetry that I actually have. So I wanted to know if there's a place or that we could actually consume some of the your work. Yeah.
Um, it's a repeat question. People ask, why don't I submit? Douglas, I owe you. Jacques and Ed, I owe you. Um, so um, my first answer will be you will find a lot of scraps in my drawers. um, there's a lot of work that need editing, and mm, I don't know how to say. So in print, you will probably only find some work in the Poetry McGregor anthologies, which Patricia and her co-editors lovingly compile. That is basically the long and short of it. There's been little self-published things when I was young. Um, and I don't know what to say about it. I don't know
Is
if I'm just
publishing something that you would want to do, or is that not really in your
um I suppose yes, there is part of my ego that would like to publish.
okay.
But there's this strange reticence. In fact, there's been a strange reticence to write for the longest time. And I think I'm getting closer to the reason why and what happened. And maybe once I have that clear and I've I got rid of some chafe in my life, then I may decide, okay, fine, just do it. Um, I think for me it would be comparable to having another solo exhibition with my artwork. Um,
Mhm.
just to put it out there. No, it doesn't define you forever. Of course, it defines you, but um, yeah, I can be as courageous as I can be. Um, I can also hesitate, and yeah, yes, I'm sure both Red Wheelbarrow and Off the Wall and other people that I'm in touch with will share the message
Yeah.
once I publish. And
Well, you would have
thank you for your words. I'm
one more person who'd want to read, at least.
well, I'm really glad that it meant that you feel like writing. In fact, sorry now I forgot her name. Crystal Warren the other day. I asked a question on Facebook just about why do we write? Basically because I feel so I feel it's a bit of a lost cause to try and remedy what we've broken in ourselves and in the world. And if it will just get lost in the mire or whatever. Anyway, but Crystal's answer was that if we think back about the times when someone else's work affected that influenced us, or just lit the little fire from, oh, okay, maybe I can write it this way too, and maybe I can give it out, and maybe it will be eaten by someone's mind or heart, then then it matters. Um, thank you for being here.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for your question, Kamo. We have another question from Lemire. Please go ahead and ask.
I'm going to tell you, Juhlene, you are no longer a closet case. If you if you think you can just leave those things, those poems, sorry. I'm Afrikaans, as you can, I'm sure you can tell, but I'll keep it. I'll do my best. Um, yeah, what I wanted to say, if you think you can keep those poems in drawers, then you've been outed tonight, at least to me. I have read some of your writing on Facebook and some scruffy other places. But I want to read especially the English poems, um, for myself, because I definitely take more time to appreciate English writing. I dream in Afrikaans, and I'm really surprised to have heard so much English. I um I can remember a lot of the Afrikaans that you've read tonight, and would love to be able to just open a file or take a written or a printed piece of paper and read your work. So, klim af van daai ou stoeltjie af en gee vir ons hierdie skryfwerk gedruk asseblief. Ek kan nie ek gaan jou iets aandoen as ek nie binnekort iets kry wat behoorlik neergeskryf is wat ek kan lees wanneer ek wil nie. Jou woorde is ongelooflik mooi in Afrikaans en so mooi agter mekaar gesit. So baie dankie en baie dankie vir hierdie ontwakening van my omtrent jou wonderlike talent.
Dankie Renier. Ja, ek hoop ook kom ons maak 'n deal. Ek sal sorg dat ek gepubliseer kom en dan sorg jy dat ons 'n slag saam sing. Terloops Renier het 'n
Enige
baie
tyd.
wonderlike stem en ek hoor dit te min want ons bly ver van mekaar af.
Ja, moet 'n plan maak. Thank you very much, Red Wheelbarrow. I really enjoyed my evening with you.
Thank you for such a wonderful and playfully strict way of saying, I mean, you're out of the closet now. Please, can you give us more poems? Because I definitely would love to be one of the people as well who has the privilege of seeing your poems published. It would, yeah, I'm also a big fan. So, yeah, but I also know that publishing is its own beast. And sometimes we must do things on our own time, in our own way, and on our own rhythm. And I hope that we do though. And with me also, please. It would be wonderful, and Kamo as well. It would be wonderful to hold your poem and see them. With that, I think I'm going to close off question and answers and then also stop recording. We're going to take a short 10-minute break so you can have a bite, have a cup of tea, pour yourself some wine, and then come back for the last section of the night, which is open mic. And open mic is really open, truly. You can read your own work. You can read the work of a poet that you admire. It's really open, truly. We're just lovers of poetry here at Red Wheelbarrow. But I'd like to thank Juhlene as well, once again, for just a beautiful reading and for a lovely question and answer period. It was just really lovely and a privilege to listen to your work.
Thank you, Maneo. Thank you for making me feel welcome and that I can speak easy.
Well, okay, we will take a little break and hope to see you back at 8:40. See you soon.
Thank you.